I've imagined the moment I'd come clean to my wife, Clara, countless times, maybe on an ordinary evening, after the kids are asleep, sitting in our dimly lit living room. I'd take a deep breath and, in the calmest voice I could muster, begin unraveling the story that could shatter everything we've built. But the thought pops like a fragile soap bubble in my mind, shimmering for a second before bursting silently. In its place rises a darker, more seductive idea, to keep weaving the web of lies that holds my world together. I could spin a less devastating lie, like a catastrophic investment gone wrong, a tale of bad luck rather than moral collapse. But I quickly dismiss it, because even that lie leads to a dead end. Clara has no way to help me pay off a debt so astronomical it would crush any middle-class family. I know it. She knows it. So the lie must point to a solvable outcome, even if that solution is just another, deeper deception. And so, I chose the most vile, unforgivable path, a shortcut straight to hell. I lied to Maya, my dear cousin. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and I drove to her house, a box of her favorite pastries in hand. Sitting on her cozy beige sofa, watching her bring me coffee, the air filled with the familiar, comforting scent of home, I mustered the emotions I'd rehearsed. With the eager yet anxious tone of an entrepreneur, I told her I needed urgent funds to place an order for hot-selling inventory. I described in detail a small online store that didn't exist, claiming it was growing at breakneck speed, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to take our lives to the next level. I even forged sales reports and supplier emails, numbers and words convincing enough to pass as real. The truth? I'm just an ordinary salaried guy, a low-level project manager grinding away in a cold glass office tower in the city, day after day. I don't own any store, online or otherwise. My only business is the digital transactions between me and a cursed, glittering online casino. Holding Maya's hand, I looked her in the eye with unwavering sincerity, promising the money was just a short-term loan, to be repaid with interest within a month. She didn't hesitate, transferring the funds on the spot, patting my shoulder and saying, "Adrian, do well. We're all proud of you." The deadline has long since passed, torn away like pages from a calendar. The money, along with the trust one defiled, vanished into a black hole. Our familial bond makes her too kind to demand repayment outright, and I don't know how to face her gentle, trusting face or repay the heavy debt of her faith in me. Once the gears of deception start turning, they don't stop, they just spin faster, pulling you into a deeper, uglier abyss. To get money from another friend, Ben, I cast the vilest curse on my healthy, lively son, who calls me daddy in his sweet, innocent voice. I met Ben at a coffee shop we used to frequent in college, deliberately arriving half an hour late, unshaven, in a wrinkled shirt, looking haggard and desperate. My eyes bloodshot, my voice hoarse and trembling from practiced restraint, I told him that last week's checkup revealed a suspicious shadow in my son's brain. The preliminary diagnosis was grim, requiring immediate transfer to the best children's hospital on the East Coast for a complex, exorbitantly expensive surgery. As I spoke, I covered my face, my shoulders shaking uncontrollably. I even squeezed out real tears, not for the fabricated illness, but for the monster I was becoming. Why did I turn into such a demon? Why was I so cruel as to use my cherished son, whom I'd protect with my life, as a bargaining chip for gambling funds? I love him so much, coming home to his running hug wipes away a day's exhaustion. I love Clara, my wife, who's been with me since college through every storm. But when the cold venom of gambling addiction stirs in my brain, gnawing at my sanity, all my humanity, morality, and love are devoured, leaving only the basest instinct to chase funds by any means. For money, I betrayed my brother, Leo. I called him late at night, knowing he'd likely be asleep, the ringing phone startling him awake to heighten the urgency. When he answered, I stayed silent for a long time, letting him hear only my heavy, suppressed breathing. Under his anxious probing, I spoke in a voice broken by feigned grief, telling him Clara had been diagnosed with early to mid-stage breast cancer. I said we'd just gotten the biopsy results, and our world had collapsed. To spare her parents' worry, we were keeping it from them, but the treatment costs were a massive gap. I still can't imagine what would happen if this lie, this vicious curse I placed on my wife, reached Clara's ears through some channel I couldn't control. What kind of devastating disappointment and fear would fill her trusting, late clear eyes? But back then, I was devoid of humanity, my soul shredded by the casino's meat grinder. As long as I got the money, I could spit out any lie, no matter how heinous or against all decency, with a straight face and clear logic. Leo was silent for a long time before saying, "How much? Give me the account." "Hang in there, bro." The biggest, most intricate, and most shameful web of lies I wove was tailored for Clara, my beloved, the woman I should protect with my life. I told her that one night, for a critical project, I was wining and dining a powerful client and got drunk. Driving home, the alcohol blurred my vision momentarily, and I hit a pedestrian at a crosswalk. I described the scene vividly, the screech of brakes, the dull thud of impact, the overwhelming fear in my heart. I said the victim was severely injured, unconscious on the spot, now in the ICU, their fate uncertain. Worse, I told her the victim's family was powerful, bypassing legal channels, using gray areas and connections to extort me for $220,000 to settle privately, threatening prison and the ruin of my career and our family if I didn't pay. Clara, my naive, kind wife who sees me as her world, collapsed on the spot to save me, the bastard pushing her into the abyss. Her face turned pale, her body trembling. In a panic, she hugged me, sobbing, "It's okay, Adrian, it's okay. We can earn the money back, as long as you're safe." She emptied our meager savings and frantically applied for high-limit online loans on her phone. When that wasn't enough, she hesitated but ultimately swallowed her pride and called her sister, Evelyn, a top surgeon at Johns Hopkins, rational, calm, and somewhat stern, a woman I've always slightly feared. I could hear Clara's tearful voice on the phone, struggling to explain this calamity to her sister, begging for help. Clara is so naive, or rather, her love for me blinds her reason and judgment. She believes everything I say without a shred of doubt. She never imagined that the husband who makes her breakfast every morning, holds her every night, and keeps the house spotless could weave such a meticulous, seamless lie to destroy everything they built together. But me? When that $220,000, mixed with her tears, fear, and the humiliation of begging, hit my account, my guilt lasted less than a minute before being swallowed by a gambler's greed. I immediately funneled it all into that damned, demonic gambling site. In the next few hours, I watched the numbers that once represented our hope dwindle with each frantic click until they coldly hit zero. When the last cent vanished, the world seemed to go silent. I slumped in my study chair like a soulless corpse, consumed by an indescribable, bone-deep despair. Let me start from the beginning, because this didn't come out of nowhere. It sprouted from seeds of sin long buried. In 2020, I first fell into the abyss of online gambling, losing $800,000, a sum I couldn't fathom or bear. My parents, who toiled their whole lives running a small grocery store in a Pennsylvania town to raise and educate me, emptied their retirement savings and borrowed from relatives to bail me out, pulling me back from the cliff's edge. I remember kneeling before them, seeing their faces age a decade overnight, their hair turning white. I slapped myself hard, swearing I'd never touch gambling again. In 2022, I married Clara. We live in a beautiful house in a quiet California suburb, with a lovely lawn and white picket fence, bought by Clara's father before our wedding, her premarital property. But my pathetic, fragile male ego couldn't admit this publicly. Back in my hometown, among relatives and friends who watched me grow up, I bragged that this valuable house was bought through my hard work and talent in America. I couldn't admit that financially, I depended on my wife. Clara's family has been incredibly kind, generous beyond my imagination. Per their traditions, our first child was meant to take Clara's surname to honor her family. But seeing our happy marriage, her father softened. At a family dinner, he suggested our child take my surname, Adrian, a small gesture that felt monumental to me, preserving my last shred of dignity among my hometown crowd. In the dead of night, watching Clara and our child sleep, I'm plagued by self-doubt. I'm nothing. The car I drive is Clara's, the house we live in is hers. I often wonder what kind of insane luck let me meet a woman like her, who overlooks my stained past, my material lack, and willingly bears my children. Without gambling, our life was truly comfortable, the kind many dream of. She gave me complete trust and freedom, never questioning how I spent my salary or checking my phone. When I needed gambling funds and lied about lending money to a struggling friend, she didn't scold me. She gently asked if my friend was okay. She supported every decision, big or small, saying, "Adrian, I trust your judgment." Looking back, my bone-deep gambling addiction might partly stem from her almost indulgent, unguarded love. She always said trust and personal space are vital in a marriage. Honestly, I sometimes envy men teased as henpecked. Their wives act as vigilant gatekeepers, shielding them from temptations and making them hesitate before bad choices. My goalpost, however, is wide open for a player with ulterior motives. After the 2020 disaster that nearly destroyed me, I stayed clean for 5 years, living like a monk, avoiding all gambling. I know myself. I either don't gamble, or I gamble to death until I lose every cent. I'm the classic irrational gambler. Winning makes me want more, losing makes me double down to break even. So for 5 years, I was cautious, guarding this hard-won stability. To atone for my guilt and play the perfect husband, I was diligent at home. I handled nearly all chores, waking early to make nutritious breakfasts, cooking Clara's favorite dinners, washing dishes, mopping floors, doing laundry, keeping the house spotless. I cared for Clara meticulously, letting her focus on her beloved work and life. Her reliance on me, her love, likely stems from the comfortable fortress I built in these details. My salary, $6,400 after taxes, isn't low. I climbed from a grunt worker to a small managerial role at my company. My work wasn't heavy, leaving ample free time. Before this relapse, I had no debts, and life was almost boringly easy. But I had my dark, hidden secrets. Each month, I siphoned at least $1,000 from my salary to buy vain, worthless virtual gear and skins in online games. Another $1,000 went to secret visits to high-end spa centers in the city's shadows for expensive massages and treatments. To sustain this slush fund, I lied to Clara from the start, claiming my take-home pay was only $4,000, the rest eaten by taxes and insurance. She never doubted me or minded my low income. Those carefully skimmed funds fed my selfish, shameful indulgences. This false, lice-stained calm shattered one May weekend. I'd been clean for 5 years, a true recovering addict. That night, with Clara and our child asleep, I was at my computer, playing a popular online game. To get a rare virtual item, I impulsively charged $1,000 into the game. It vanished without a ripple, like a pebble in the ocean. A mix of rage and defiance erupted in me, and a clear, loud, deadly thought struck. Go gamble, hit that site I swore never to touch again, win back that $1,000 and stop. That tiny, almost laughable thought was the key that reopened the sealed gates of hell. In the first month, I drained every online lending platform I could find that didn't require collateral, borrowing $390,000. The money came so easily, just fill out forms, click a few buttons, and cash hit my account in minutes. Losing it was even faster. When those easy loans dried up, I was crazed, reason gone. I turned my greedy, sinful hands to my most trusting relatives, friends, even friendly colleagues. From that cursed May night to now, in less than 3 months, I've lost $850,000, a sum I may never repay in my lifetime. And Clara, my wife, the mother of my child sleeping beside me, knows nothing, not even my sordid gambling history from 5 years ago. I can't imagine, nor dare to, what excuses or lies I'll use when this debt bomb explodes in our carefully maintained home. I ask myself, aside from gambling, I haven't done anything bad in the traditional sense. The spas I visit are legal. I've never considered cheating. My life, car, house, loving wife, adorable child, surpasses most people's. Why did I gamble? I can't find an answer that convinces me. Maybe it's a disease, an incurable mental cancer. Lately, the debts have started detonating like chained landmines across my life. Every collection call is a thunderclap, making me jump like a startled bird to answer at the first ring. I dread missing a call, terrified the ruthless collector will dial Clara's number, listed as my emergency contact. But this patching and stalling, what's the point? Those collection agencies, those wolves on the other end of the line, won't give me a decade to repay. I've considered confessing countless times or weaving a bigger lie to cover it. But as I've thought through, even a perfect investment failure excuse won't work. Clara can't help clear this crushing debt. Our house, her premarital property, her father's precious gift, is her greatest source of security. She values it more than her life. How could she agree to sell it to fill my bottomless gambling pit? Her sister Evelyn, a respected surgeon with some savings, has a sharp, scalpel-like gaze that my flimsy lies can't fool. My greatest fear, almost certain, is that when the debt fully erupts, Clara, urged by her rational, family-first relatives, will divorce me without hesitation. Then, I'll lose everything, reduced to less than nothing. I'm suffocating, every second a lingering torture. An invisible, crushing weight presses my chest, stealing my breath. I don't know who to confide in. I'm trapped in this labyrinth of lies I built, with no exit. Here, with trembling hands, I write down my sins and struggles of the past 3 months. If you reading this have faced similar despair, I beg you for any advice. How can I confess without losing my beloved family, without my young child losing their father, and resolve this debt crisis? Is there any salvation for someone like me?